Welcome to the Johan Julian Lee Show, where we meet people to talk about their experience, lifestyle, and also stories. Tune in as we continue to find people to tell you all about their struggles, their resilience, and the life lessons that you can learn from watching this show.
So I was on my way to getting a green card at that time. My company was ready to sponsor my green card so that I'll be able to work legally there. I mean, I was on a H1B visa and it'll allow you to work for only 3 years. You renew another time and then you get your green card. So I was on my way there. I already had my heart and my mind set to just stay in the United States. But then that Asian thing would kick in and say, you know what, I have to be close to the family. I have to sacrifice because they have sacrificed for you. So you just have to do what a dutiful son would do, and that is to return. And plus, I've been overseas for 13 years. I think at that point, I was ready to come home and I needed to do what I needed to do. So I did. Uprooted myself from Nashville, came back home on 30th of January 2011, and I assisted to open Juara Sports Village, which is a sports facility in Putatan that I have no idea how to build at first because we had to build from scratch. I have no experience in building. I have no experience in project management. I have no experience in engineering. So within 3 years, we were building that premises from scratch. From the moment we poured the cement all the way until we installed the final nail. So it was mind-boggling. Construction is a business that it's not I was totally out of my element. Why? Because, and I know a lot of people who have engineering and also building industries, they will definitely know what I'm talking about. Motong simen, okay, boss, kita datang hari ini, datang besok. Yalah besok pukul berapa? Pagi kah petang? Oh petang. Petang pukul berapa? Pukul 3 kah? Mungkinlah lepas pukul 4 saya call. Tapi lepas pukul 4 nanti hujan macam mana? Nanti kita mau kena postpone. So that has been like, oh man, I wanted to hit my head. And I was like, can I take a plane back to the States? Because, you know, when we talk about deadlines, when we talk about, you know, promising, giving a timeline, it is specific, you know, all right? This document will be sent to your office at so-and-so time, so-and-so day, not a minute less, not a minute more. So I'm used to that culture, you know. Emails, we get emails all the time, updates, things like that. Even if you're not in the circle, you are in the circle. And I'm used to it. Now it's like, oh, one department is diorang punya department, that department is diorang punya department, nobody disturbs anyone, no one syncs information. That frustrated me. Susah mau buat kerja. But I just radu saja lah. I just decided to just go through it and be done with it. And then 3 years, we already have Juara Sports Village, thank goodness. And then I decided to use my customer service skills to put it to good use for the facility. Then I trained the staff how to treat customers, how to answer the phone. You know how many times we answer the phone, hello, how are you? Huh? You know? So those little things bother me. You don't say all these nasty tones that we are used to, and we say, I beg your pardon, can you repeat that again? Of course they have to speak in Malay lah. We want to be in English macam terlampau atas sikit kan. So minta maaf, boleh ulang semula, that sort of thing. So again, people yearn for customer service. I noticed that. And in the long term, if you take care of your staff, they'll take care of your clients too. So that has been my motto ever since. Try to take care of them as much as possible. So yeah, I think I'm rambling too much now.
No, that's great. Back to the family business, which you know, putting what you learned into practice, but realizing that there's a cultural difference here. Sabah, generally, Sabah.
And I've had these frustrating conversations many times with my dad. I was like, Daddy, kenapa begini? Then he will calmly with his tone, he will say, Reza, you are not in the US anymore. Remember that. Macam mana lagi? How do you, like, checkmate lah? Like, it's like, okay. He like puts a sellotape over my mouth and I'm like, okay lah. I just have to terima. I just have to accept. And you just have to go with it. And I don't complain much. I used to be a complainer. I would harp and complain about how things were awful in this country. I tell you, you can see my Twitter in 2012, 2013, 2014. I was going through a terrible phase, midlife crisis, you want to call it that way pun boleh lah in Korea. But I've decided to say, you know what, if I dwell too much on the negativity, nothing's gonna change. So I'm like, okay lah, it's either you accept it or you try to change minds. I can't change a person, but I think we are able to change minds. So I try to do that. And to some extent it worked. To some extent maybe people think I'm too radical that way. So I'm like, okay lah, it depends on the person if they want to accept what I have to say or not. When it comes to training, when it comes to presenting ideas to my dad, you have no idea how many times we clashed on a lot of things. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've decided to exit the family business, because as my dad said, there can't be too many tigers in the hill. So let dad be the tiger for now until he wants to retire, and then we see lah macam mana. So that's that.
And then what was the first gig that you got right after the fitness business when you decided to retire? What happened?
Well, I was given this opportunity to MC an event. Every Sunday at Juara Gym, we would always have this free Zumba activity for the community, just as an excuse for people of Kampung Ketiau to come to Juara Gym and just to have fun, to dance and to have a good time, basically. Because, free of charge. Yeah, free of charge. Opening a business, you always want to touch the community. It's not about dollars and cents all the time. You have to entice them by saying, you know what, I'm earning money, Alhamdulillah, great, but you need to give back. And one of the ways to give back is to provide a wonderful space. We use the rooftop of Juara Gym. Every Sunday from 5 to 6, we would dance our hearts out as the sun is setting.
It's a beautiful sunset.
I know,
place.
and I love it. I miss it. I really, really do. So we do it diligently every Sunday as long as it does not rain. We will do it all the time. And we hosted Kinabalu Pink Ribbon one for several times, especially for the month that they commemorate Breast Cancer Awareness Month every October. So we will host them every year. The second year, I got to meet the then president, Puan Natra, and she's a very nice lady. She's always very, I think we bonded when I changed the color of Juara Gym's logo to pink. And that's a very American thing, because we would change all the logos in October to pink to say, hey, we support women with who are going through breast cancer, those who passed away with breast cancer, and just want to create awareness and say, ladies, go and get checked. Ladies, go and get checked, please. All right. So they were touched by it. And I don't think any companies did it. Not even American-based companies in Sabah did that. I just changed it to pink, and immediately they wanted to meet me. So we had this wonderful relationship together, and we worked a lot of things together as our way to support the community, so to speak. So Puan Natra, immediately one day, she told me, she sat me down and said, Ben, I want you to MC next year's Mother's Day Walk Abreast event, 2016. And I'm like, Puan Natra, F you, no. I didn't say that, I was like, no, I am not going to do that. Oh, Ben, Toh Puan, the consort of the TYT, is going to be that. Hell no, I said. I love protocol. I again, listening to MCs is one of those things that I love doing too. But to actually do it, it's like, no, I don't want to mess anyone's name. I don't want to mess anyone's title, because the moment if I stutter, if I panic, I will butcher their names and you'll never see me again on stage. So she said, but Ben, you need to be our MC.
So very, very quickly, was stage fright a factor at this point?
Yes, it was. Even though during those free community events that I do, I have to say a few words. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. It's a common gesture again, it's from my hospitality background. They come to your home. You want to welcome them, and you want to make sure that they feel welcome. And one of those many ways to do it is to say a few words. And I think a lot of our clients, they love that. And I just do it out of, I was frightened, scared shit. Sorry, can I say that? No.
Yes.
And I'm like, but I just had to do it. You paksa do it in the name of making sure that they're comfortable, so that I don't have to say anything again. you know. But Puan Natra at that time gave me my break, basically. Gave me my break in terms of another direction away from fitness, and that's emceeing. 6,000 people attended that Mother's Day Walk Abreast event. This was before the craze of marathons. Remember, there was an era when every weekend there was a marathon, you know, and everyone was crazy running. This happened just a year before that. Can you imagine 6,000 people wearing pink, and I'm the only one wearing white in the middle of the stage so that everyone can see me? And it's like, wow. And I butchered, of course, I had to butcher the consul's name. You're supposed to address her as Yang Amat Berbahagia. I said Yang Amat Berhormat, which is a title only reserved to the Prime Minister. So then I recall the head of protocol right behind me for Istana and said, Yang Amat Berbahagia. But we made a joke out of it because apparently the TYT's consort is very relaxed. Plus, it's a non-formal event. So if we mess up a few things, it's okay. We can wear shorts, we can be merry, and as long as everything is respectful, all is good. Yeah. It's because of that event, people notice my presentation skills. It was different from other MCs. I think it was because I did a lot of homework and I was very careful with the words that I say, so much so that it polished the event to become this, you know, sometimes MC they orang melalut saja, you know, they repeat and repeat. But I always believe in making announcements once that everybody can hear with concise words. There's no need to repeat again. Yes, you will repeat it after 10 minutes, but there's no need to say, hadirin sekalian, jangan lupa untuk membuang sampah, janganlah membuang sampah di rata-rata tempat, ding dong. Can you hear me? No. So you have to say it forcefully. Hadirin sekalian, acara ini adalah acara bebas sampah. Mohon membuang sampah di tempat-tempat yang disediakan. Terima kasih. So when you say it concisely, people listen and they will follow, and you just repeat it in the next 15 minutes.
And this was before you had any MC training background whatsoever.
No.
It's just a homework or an observation that you saw and you felt that you should be doing this.
Yeah. So after the end of that event, 2 months later, the late Dato Mahathir Lokman came to KK to do what was his final class to Malaysia, his final MCing class.
In
KK itself. He loves Sabah. For some of our viewers here who know Dato Mahathir Lokman, he is Malaysia's MC. You would hear him in Citra Warna, you would hear him at the international events because he speaks Malay, English, Italian, German, French, all sorts of languages. And each time when there's a roadshow overseas, he would go with the troops, the dance troupe, the entourage, and he would be Malaysia's ambassador. I want to be like him, you know, to represent our country well, to be able to showcase to the world that, hey, we are good orators, we have an awesome culture to showcase, you know. So I attended his final class, and that was the biggest blessing ever because it came by accident. I just saw this flyer from a friend in Toastmasters, Ophelia, Silma, thank you so much. You have no idea how that class changed my life. And I'll never forget 4 days of just learning from my idol. You know, we had a little discount at that time. But again, you know, you have to invest. You have to invest. It was a few hundred ringgit, but it was the best few hundred ringgit that is paid off already. So, Dato Mahathir Lokman was probably a person that has impacted my life in MC. I can cry right now. Oh my God, I think I'm gonna cry.
You can in this, no problem.
Shit, I'm crying right now. Oh my gosh.
Mentors touch the heart.
Yes, they do. You have no idea when he passed away. He passed away here in KK. He was visiting KK. And during his class, he mentioned how he loves Sabah so much. He speaks Sabahan too, you know. He speaks Sabahan because he will try to make sure that he has some Sabahan ties, and he will come to you and say, Ben, you bangsa apa? I'm like, my dad is from Sabah, my mom's from Pahang. Oh, okay, tapi you Sabah bangsa apa? Brunei perhaps? Oh, okay, dari kampung mana? Well, dari Putatan saja. Okay. He will try to dig and dig and dig and see which tribe are you from, because he really is a detail-oriented person. And during the 4 days, he taught me a lot about protocol, about how being an MC. No, you're not an entertainer. You are a glue of the event. You need to make sure that you don't make a fool out of yourself. Thank you. Oh my gosh, this is a tissue that I need right now.
Just in case.
So Dato' Mahathir Lokman has touched my life in so many ways. If you type in Ben Uzair, Dato' Mahathir on Facebook, you will see a lot of my tributes there, because I will not be the MC that I am today without his guidance, his help, his knowledge. The fact that he shared knowledge for just 4 days, it changed my life completely. I was lucky that I was an ardent listener. I love listening to him, and I'm sure a lot of our Malaysians love him too. We saw him presenting the news. We saw him being the host in various events, both local and international. And that changed my life. It really, really did. When he passed away, I was one of those people who was distraught. But I told myself to move on. I said, you know what? Each time I hold the microphone, and when I'm at the lectern, I know he's watching. So I've always think that it's important to be a polished MC. Fine, you want to be the best MC that you can, and I understand people have their own different styles. Sometimes people ask me, Ben, kenapa ba kau tidak terlampau banyak bagi orang ketawa ke apa? I said, it's not my job to be an entertainer. Alright? Let that be the job of the person doing the speech, or let that be the job of the person singing. My job is to make it a smooth event so that we follow time. I'm not hired as an entertainer. I'm hired as the master of ceremonies to ensure that this ceremony is done well. Because one thing that MCs need to understand, that you are not the center of attention. A lot of people make that mistake. They think that they are the center of attention. They're not. You're supposed to be like housekeeping. Do your job, but people will acknowledge behind the scenes. And there's no need to make a big fuss out of it that, hey, you are the star of the show. Because the star of the show should be whatever that's on the screen, not the person sitting or standing behind the lectern.
So was it after that workshop with Mahathir, that made you decide, hey, you know what, MC could be something that I can go into?
Yes.
Was that where it sparked this idea of being a career?
It did. My good friend Christopher Ho also attended that class several years ago, and then he said, Ben, go for it. I know there's a future. And this is my good friend. We've been good friends ever since we were in school. And when you have to listen to your intuition and also the blessings of your good friends, if they know that you can do it, go for it. So I did. Immediately after that class, my first event was the certifications of persons workshop for ASEAN delegates, because at that year Malaysia was the we held the chairmanship for ASEAN at that time. You know how the chairmanship for ASEAN switches every year. It was Malaysia's turn at that year. So
they seek you out, or
they sought me out. They sought me out. So apparently the sister of the organizer actually saw my post that I actually went to this class with Dato' Mahathir, and then she said, since you're trained and this might be your first event after that training, why not you put your skills to practice by being an MC? We don't have much to offer, she said, but we will pay you a nice token, but for your efforts we would love for you to become our MC. And that became my training ever since. And that was my first exposure with the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment right here in Sabah.
We'll be right back after this.
damn, is this like a life story, or I don't know? Are you going to write my book or something?
This is the Johan Julie show. You know, lifestyle, stories, and people. And this is the stories that we want.
You know what? It feels weird being interviewed because I do this for a living, and it feels weird to have him interview me, and now I feel like I want to interview him, which we did before for KK12, but I have to be mindful that I'm not the one interviewing him. So you have to keep me talking all the time. Anyways,
but you're doing a great job. Please continue.
I met Datuk Sri Masidi Manjun for the very first time in that event, and he had wonderful things to say about me. And I guess because being in the same political party as my father before, so he immediately put the two and two together, and he said, "Oh, ko anak si Siano Siano."
He was the tourism minister.
He was the tourism minister at that time. And again, another great orator. And I hope that we would have more individuals like him who would lead our state when it comes to tourism. Again, don't want to touch too much on politics and things like that. But again, leadership, those are the things that you need right now. So that job, that ASEAN job really, I don't want to say propelled, but people started to notice who I was, the job that I did, and they say, you know what, I want him in a future event. This was in 2017, 2018. A lot of events were happening in our state at that time. Government, tourism was really active. People have money and they want to spend. So I was lucky to be able to be part of this, events industry, so to speak. So one job became two became four became six, you name it. I was the host for many jobs in the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment. I also was active in the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Several other corporate companies, GLCs, also hired my services at that time, and I only charged like 1,000 ringgit just for a showing. I charge much more than that right now, obviously. We don't want to talk about money, but just that it gave me a good start. It gave me a good start, and I loved it. I'm actually earning much more than the director fee I received with the company. So I was comfortable with that. I was comfortable, and it felt good to be appreciated. Sometimes I don't know if my dad appreciates the work that I do. You know how dads are with their sons. They will always push and push and push until you jatuh longkang pun, they will push you. It's dad. And I'm quite sure a lot of family members who have family businesses, they know this is a common thing. And I really, really enjoyed I don't want to say the attention, but I enjoy people acknowledging the work that I do, that I'm different and unique. And I just decided to roll with it, let it be on cruise control until this very day. So yeah, it's one after the other. You name it, government jobs, weddings, even events as small as only 10 people, like a private dinner, birthdays, even with this new government, in 2018 when we had that switch, I was scared because I did a lot of work with the government through TN50, which we'll talk about later, and then like I'm leading this interview, right? Oh my gosh, sorry. And so I was scared. I was like, okay, I did a lot of work in the previous government, and I have some attachments. Will they take me on? And little did I know, no, they don't care about that. They just hired me, and I just did whatever that is told of me. And it seems like everybody is comfortable with my style, and they will fit me accordingly to what event that they are organizing.
Did that also how you got scouted to go into KK12 FM radio?
That's another story. We have to go back to Juara Gym. I was also a coach for Jom Kurus. It's a common weight management program, if you will, that happens throughout the country, that sort of thing. So Juara Gym, the gym that I used to manage, was part of that program ever since day one in 2014. So long story short, I was invited to Sabah VFM. Farah, your wife, was an announcer there as well, and we were invited to say a few words about Jom Kurus. Little did I know that the station manager, Lalita, Lalita, if you're tuning in, you have no idea how grateful I am of the opportunity given to me at Sabah VFM. She listened to that live interview broadcast, and it was the same week, I believe, that they were doing radio announcing interviews, like you're scouting for talents, that sort of thing. Auditions, yes. They were doing auditions for that. So Lalita came down right away to the studio and said, Ben, I like how you present just now. Will you be interested to be a weekend radio DJ here? We won't be able to pay you much because there's budget constraints, but we think you'll be a good person. I said no, the same way I told Ponatra, I just said no. I don't want to because I have so much things to do in my hands. I don't care about the pay, but it's just that I don't know how to juggle learning all these buttons and learning this microphone, learning all the, it can be really intimidating. Even right now in this studio, I'm intimidated by that. So I thought about it for a month, and I was like, you know what, I have to give up my salary at the company because of finances and things like that. We don't have to dwell into that, but I said, I need some pocket money. I really, really do. I didn't care if it paid, little bit, but 10 ringgit is 10 ringgit. It puts food on the table. I'll get to, I needed income at that moment. And I called Lalita a month later. I said, put me on training for a month before you give me my first paycheck. So I did. I trained with Constantine Palawan, one of the top radio announcers for RTM. I'm very fortunate to I'm a fanboy also. I fanboy him when I first met him at the old RTM radio station at the age of 17. I love him to death, and I won't kiss him obviously. but I'm a huge fan, and I was so happy that he taught me the strings and how to be a good radio announcer, that sort of thing, and it was a priceless few weeks with him. I'll never forget that. And a few other DJs trained me at that time. So different styles, different ways of presenting, different ways of playing music, putting on a playlist, that sort of thing. So I worked with RTM for about 14 months, so to speak, until KK12 FM decided to give me a call. Boss Paris, thank you very much. And he said, would you like to just, do a trial run? Trial run is the word at KK12 FM. Do you want to change, environment, so to speak? Instead of presenting propaganda all the time, do you think that you want to have your own show? I was like, under few conditions. Number one, I get to plan my show. Number two, my show will not be about me. I don't want to melalut bercakap and all the time as the same format as I did in RTM. I want to talk to someone. Each show will be always about another person, inviting a guest to talk about his or her story, and let the world listen. Let our listeners enjoy the story. It's not about me, it's about the other person.
This was happening in 2000.
This happened in 2018. 2 years ago.
Which you already have your MC business going on at that time.
Correct, yes.
So your confidence level would have been much better.
Yes. I had nothing to lose, basically. Wow, I can proudly say that. So I told Boss Paris at that time, under those conditions, then I'll accept working for KK12. And the pay was quite handsome too, I must say. So I was like, okay lah, if the pay is handsome but terlampau banyak, kena buat pun tidak best juga kan. So let it be something that I enjoy doing. And he said yes. And that was like during the final 7 days of Ramadan that day. We always look for miracles the final few days of, in Ramadan. And we're like, this is my miracle. This is my break, my next break in life. So 2018, I decided to end my tenure at RTM and switch to KK12. And that was how Make It Happen was born.
So yes, and also TN50, which you were leading us to.
Yes.
Tell us about it. What is TN50 for the audience who do not know what that means?
Okay. Well, TN50 is short for Transformasi Nasional. It was an initiative by the previous government to somewhat scout or to discover the temperature of the youths, basically, of what they aspire the nation to be in 2050. My duty as an ambassador at that time was to go to schools, reach out to students, reach out to the youths, and to listen to their aspirations by asking them, what are your aspirations? What do you want Malaysia to be like in 2050? It was more on getting the youths inspired to be part of nation building. Some people say it's a political propaganda to get votes in the next election. Some people say it's, a lot of things. But I really felt it was a genuine attempt by then the government to really get the youth involved in participating in democracy. I really, really think so. And it's important. And my duty was to listen. Imagine I'm a radio announcer. I was an MC, still am. My duty is just to talk and talk and talk. And I've been put on the spot to listen. And I loved it. I really loved it because for the first time in my life as a Malaysian, I get to travel a little bit around the country to see it in a different light, to really find out what is it like to be a leader. What is it like to be a person who is not in power? I don't have any powers at that time. I don't have any, I don't have anything to give them. I'm not an adun. I'm not an elected official or anything like that. I'm just a representative of the then government to just listen to you. What do you want for the country? You want kereta terbang kah? You want this kah? You want that kah? A lot of things. And it changed my life. I was the only ambassador that went into a sekolah rendah in a pedalaman to listen to what children wanted for the country. We did this in Kudat, and I was immensely surprised by how little kids want a university next to their home. So that tells me they value education. Some people say, no, I want to work with my, I want to help my mom, I want to help my dad, this and that. But it was touching to find out that children of our country who are in pedalaman wanted and value education so that they can have a better life, so that they can develop their kampung, their community on their own, and to see them independent, and they love people from outside visiting them. It's like, Santa Claus came into town, that sort of thing. I didn't bring any freebies or anything like that. All I did was a piece of paper with a huge TN50 logo. I brought crayons and markers and all of that stuff, and I just told them to draw what their aspirations are like. What do you want Malaysia to be like in 2050? So even though that program has been discontinued, and even the former Minister of Youth and Sports even mentioned that some of the ideas brought forward in TN50 program will be part of policy making in the previous government. Now we have a new government some more. I'm not sure. But there's one lesson that we need to learn from this. Remember how we were teenagers and we were taught that Wawasan 2020 is going to be our future? We need to have that mentality that there is something to look forward to. We need to envision what the future of the country is. Right now we don't have a Wawasan. Some people say 2050, some people say 2030, but there was not a set program to say, Malaysians, let's march forward, 2050, 2060, 2070, whatever is our next Wawasan 2020. And that trained us. Wawasan 2020, whether you like it or not, it trained us to be really thinking about what's ahead. And how many of us really thought, by the year 2020, berapa sudah sampai umur? Remember that, Julian, at that time?
True.
Yeah.
True.
At that time, I was only 16 years old. And I said, wow, MF, I'll be 40 freaking years old, man. I'll be an old bastard at that time. I don't even know what to do. I have not even went through university yet. So it was like, it's that realization that you have to tell yourself, hey, I have to plan. Otherwise, I'll be in deep shit. Sorry, I'm speaking French. But I wish now I wish we're able to go to schools and tell those same 7-year-old, 8-year-old and say, you know what? The future of the country, don't depend on the big boys to do it. You can shape it. As long as you are able to dream it, you work for it, then good things will happen. Plan it well. If the stars are aligned, things will happen for you. And I wish that there is something that we can tell our children and say, you know what, your future is bright. Because right now, with the current political situation, with how people are thinking, with the rise of social media, it's a little bit difficult to think about that. And I agree, people are frustrated. But I wish, and I hope that the hopes and dreams that we felt when we were teenagers back then, I hope it will be felt by our youngsters today.
Speaking about 2020, the reality this shooting is happening in the year 2020, and we are facing the pandemic, the COVID. So there is where I want to ask you also, what were your measures, or what did you do during the COVID? Because I'm very sure when the COVID happened, events are cancelled.
Yeah.
People do not dare to go out. I would assume your radio announcing is still going on. That's probably one.
Yeah.
But what did you do during that period? What were you feeling at that time?
Oh, uncertain, obviously. A lot of my events that were scheduled March onwards were either postponed or cancelled. In March, I was supposed to go to KL for a palm oil industry meeting, and then we were supposed to, the Prime Minister was supposed to be there. That should have been an event that I could have, a little feather I can put on my head and say, yeah, I can say, wow, I actually hosted an event with the Prime Minister. And let's continue that story right after this.
You can also follow Ben Uzair at Make It Happen with Ben at KK12FM. Links in description below.
So we were supposed to be in KL, and this event was going to be officiated by the Prime Minister at that time. I was going to meet Tun Mahathir for the very first time in my life. So it was like, then it got cancelled, and a slew of other things. To answer your question, how did I sustain myself? Well, I had to cut a lot of things. I cut spending. I had to, the moratorium helped out, so I saved quite a bit in terms of, bills, that sort of thing. What else? I was lucky that radio announcers or radio stations were considered essential services. Did you know? So we were able to go across town with a little letter and say, no, we're essential services. So it was not just doctors and nurses that were essential services at that time. Radio announcers, anyone in broadcasting, are considered essential service workers. So we were lucky that we were able to go to the radio station to do our work. But of course, MCMC wanted us to center our content on informing, and my RTM element came into play. So because I was a news presenter at that time, we were presenting a lot of cold facts at that time, so I was able to give my RTM blood, so to speak, at KK12. So I was one of few announcers that was able to go to the studio, because my other announcers are either they have to stay where they are at, and I am also close to the studio. Even though it's 20 minutes away, I still feel like Putata is very close to KK. But that's for another story. Yeah. So I think that responsibility as an announcer really jumped. And said, no, I need to go into the studio because I have the responsibility to inform our listeners at that time. So I just wrote on it. That I'm going to use this opportunity to give news. Even though KK12FM is not known as a news radio, but we decided to upgrade our News Bite segment a little bit to inform our listeners, and also to give, real-time content on our morning show between 7 and 9 o'clock. So we were on our phones. What's next? Remember, during the first month of MCO, there was news upon news. Right? Things change every single day. What we report today might be different tomorrow. There was a lot of crisscrossing U-turns and things like that. So we had to really sit down and say, okay, is this newsworthy? Do we need to report? And then fake news. People were, WhatsApp was slammed like crazy. Like, don't go here because we saw Kementerian Kesihatan disinfecting here, or COVID-19 is there, COVID-19 is. So it was like, and sekali last gambar yang dari 2 tahun yang lepas, news yang dari last year yang expired sudah. So again, media literacy became this thing that I told myself that we need to pay attention to. So yeah, I was lucky that I have that job, so that helped me with finances a little bit. Jobs tidak payah cakap lah when it comes to MCing, that went down the hill. I discovered podcasting. I only have 2 episodes in my little podcast, but you have no idea how much it took to edit just one podcast.
So let's hold that. How do we find that podcast?
Oh, okay. How do we find that podcast? You need to go to anchor.fm and just type in Ben Uzair, Make It Happen, or you can just go to Spotify and just type in Make It Happen with Ben Uzair, and you'll find me there. So yeah, and anyone can do a podcast. Even you can do a podcast. So yeah, it's very easy. All you need to do is just have a phone with a microphone and melanut lah. So so that was fun. But the tedious part of that was the editing. That's the part that I hated the most. So I was like, it's okay lah. At least I have my page there. It's another link that I can put on as my profile, that sort of thing, and it'll morph into something much more important in the future. I can assure you that if I'm bored with KK12, I might just do that. No, I'm not quitting my job. Boss Paris, please. Saya masih mau naik gaji next year, right? So podcasting. I learned how to podcast. It's something that I've always wanted to do. Video editing. I've always wanted to do video editing. Thank you, Hyatt Regency. I'll tell you this story. They gave me a free Ramadan set. At that time, Chef One, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, he was laying all these little bites, little plates, little dishes that you can take home, and he was putting it one by one on the table, and everyone was like, wow. So Hyatt did something like that, not to copycat, but they told me, they said, okay, we only have like 8 dishes, but can you present it like Chef One? Don't follow his tone, but like a little review. That became my first video on Instagram. So that was my first IGTV video. I'm never a TV person. I never like to have to see myself on TV, or on video or anything like that. So that became my first video, and I think it garnered like 1.4K views or something like that. That's pretty cool for IG, I heard. I only have like 5,000 followers. I'm not your mega superstar. I'm not, your influencer, because sekarang ni influencer kalau mau dapat kerja mesti 10K and above, so I don't fit the bill anymore. I'm not a photographer. I don't look pretty. I don't look handsome. So it's like, okay lah, 5K followers that are loyal to me. They know what my essence are. So macam okay lah. But 1 something K viewers, and Hyatt was happy. So I'm like, wow, can I do another video? So I did one for Sutra Harbor. People loved that video, about 1.1K viewers. And then I decided to do a hotel stay and decided to document that stay, and just started to do and polish my video editing skills. I mean, I just used iMovie on my phone until it crashed, so I had to get a new phone. But I was just excited that I was given that opportunity to do that, because if the pandemic did not happen, I'll be on cruise control with emceeing. I would not learn anything. Hey, you will not have this show without the pandemic too. So I think we all learned something. My partner Kai, he learned how to start his own business with baking and things like that. A lot of us did. My sister in KL decided to open a rendang, making this delicious rendang of a recipe that we had from my grandma, who used to be a cook in the royal household of the Pahang royal family. So that recipe was like 3 generations now, and she decided to turn it into a little business, and now she's making rendang in addition to her job at Petronas. So it's like we learned so many things, and we learned how to not complain. I feel sorry for a lot of Sabahans who complain too much on social media. I'm sorry, there are many of us out there who complain, and I think if we stop complaining and making things happen, I think talk is cheap. And I feel bad because I talk for a living, but let's pair talk with action. When you pair talk with action, it becomes enriching. People don't look at you yang macam ala, you ni bullshit saja. You have to pair that with your actions. And if you want to complain, fine. Make sure you back it up with doing something about it. Yesterday I bitched about this and this. I'm doing something about it today. That's what I want to see happen, and that's not happening. So, yeah, wrong.
Speaking about it, I mean, like, because you are also a coach,
Yes.
You also give training. Was this happening like as a result of the pandemic that you started coaching, or was it before that?
My first coaching assignment was 2 years ago. 2019. I did three coaching sessions for the government under the Ministry of Tourism, Tourism, Culture and Environment. Soft skills, basically. I love doing all these etiquette classes, how to dine, how to do this and how to do that. And it was an opportunity given by the then General Manager of Sabah Tourism Board, Madam Suzaini. Thank you so much for the opportunities you have given me. She decided that she wanted to have a 2-day workshop to teach the staff of Sabah Tourism little things on soft skills, like how to answer the phone.
How did that question pop from her mouth that she wanted you to train staff?
We just had a casual chat. 2017, 2018, when she was still the Deputy General Manager at that time. And she said, Ben, I think we need to bring you in to Sabah Tourism Board to have you train, making use of your experiences in the United States to teach them about soft skills, to show them how to walk gracefully, how to eat gracefully, how to talk to people, how to answer the phone. These are little things that we tend to not think about, how to dress properly even, so we turned it into this wonderful 2-day workshop. It was not boring at all because everybody had to do something. I even taught them how to properly take a video, so those little things using technology are the training that I think we need right now. We don't like those slides on the wall anymore. Even if we do have those slides, it needs to be flashy, less words, more graphic. So that's why Canva is a lifesaver. Canva, thank you very much. And I'm also a graphic designer too. Canva helped me with that.
This show is not sponsored by Canva, but
exactly.
Canva, you may sponsor here.
I know, right? So yeah, it's that opportunity at Sabah Tourism Board also assisted me in a way that I bonded with the people at Sabah Tourism, because we do so many events together. I feel like sometimes we are detached because MC is considered like vendor and then them is considered the client. But now, because I know the government agency very well, I know who runs it, I know their objectives, so I felt like I'm one of them. And I think being a good MC, you need to be that. You need to be part of that company. You need to be part of that family, because if you're one of them, you become automatically the ambassador, and I have that edge, so to speak. So it felt like I work for them, but at the same time I don't, but I'm able to speak well about them. So that workshops really assisted me to bond with everybody, so much so that I was touched when a few of them said, "Hey Ben," even with their bosses, in front of their bosses, they say, "Hey Ben, I've been a worker here at Sabah Tourism for 20, 30 years, and I've been through so many workshops, and this is the most fun we had." And I think it's just about being hands-on, being part of it, sharing your heart. A lot of times people will share facts and figures, but if you don't share your heart, then it's just another seminar. So I shared my heart completely in those 3 seminars. I wish I could do it again. Yeah.
So has this made you decided that, okay, this is going to give me a new portfolio, that coaching is going to be something that I'm going
Absolutely. I'm toying with the idea. It's just that I'm doing too many things right now. Gig economy.
You're gonna need a team.
I know. I'm going to need a team, and eventually, I would love to have my own hospitality consulting company in the future. So that would be something that I would love to do soon. Not right away, but coaching will be one of them. I definitely want to be like you and like Farah, to be a HRDF certified trainer that is along the lines of what I want to achieve in the future. So I'm taking those steps slowly, because I think in this world we only live for so long, and if you really want to be successful, you have to stay curious. And if you don't stay curious, you're just going to stay stagnant. And I don't think in this pandemic we can't afford to be stagnant anymore. We have to adapt. How do we become adapting? How do we be adept and be? How can we gel, if you will, in this current situation? We have to stay curious. We have to stay agile, and we have to be ready for change.
So we're only down to the last 2 questions. Is that, first of all, where do they find you online if they want to search more about Ben Uzair?
I have this joke that people tell me, Ben, you're everywhere. So, and you know what? I don't want to be everywhere. But if you do need to find me, go on Instagram. It's ben.uzair, Uzair. I think I'm on almost all social media platforms, but I'm most active on Instagram and Facebook.
So in this show, the way we end it is that we always end it with a game. Okay, we have a 10-word game.
I love this game.
So
Come.
how it goes is that I'm gonna say a word,
Okay.
and you're just gonna tell me either you can reply me back in one word,
Okay.
or a short summary of what you think of it.
Okay.
And the only rule is that you cannot repeat the same answer twice.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I can't repeat the same answer twice. Okay. Got it.
So
Got
the first one, mentors.
it. I'm gonna cry. Dato Mahathir, for sure. He has given me so much. The only thing he gave me were pieces of papers of his script and knowledge. And I just took it with me, and it has brought me to places. So yeah. Al-Fatiha.
Impact.
Impact. Man. You need to work hard to make an impact. You need to know your shit to make an impact. You cannot be a know-it-all to make an impact. And impact is not just through words, it's through action too. If you really want to make an impact in the world, you have to do all of that.
Family.
Mom, I love her to death. She's been through so much. I love my sisters. They've been through a lot too. I've always looked up to women for some reason. I love my dad, but I still consider my mom as my huge influence, and my sisters as well, especially my two younger ones. My former boss was also a lady. There's so much to learn from women. So they are my family too. Yeah.
Passion.
My partner, Kai. I think he's been through thick and thin with me. When I think of a person who's passionate about love, about being with someone, it's him, for sure. I will not be where I am today without his presence. He was there when I was at my lowest, and I'm grateful for him being on my side until this very day. I love him very much.
Your legacy.
Man. See, I don't know. Because I'm having fun now. I love radio. I love emceeing. I love being in broadcasting. But I don't know what the future holds for me in 5 years. I don't want that to be just my legacy. But I do hope to make an impact in the future. So we'll see. Ask me that question in 10 years' time.
America.
Oh man. I had my American dream. I lived it. I brought that spirit home. And that has taken me to places. I lived the American dream, and it's the best years of my life. And I am forever grateful for the years that I've spent in that wonderful country. Yes.
Your hopes.
Hopes. I hope that the youth will be critical thinkers. I hope that Malaysians would be critical thinkers. I don't mean it as something big, but we always admire the Koreans, the Japanese, the Finnish, Europeans and Americans and all of that stuff, and we aspire to be like them. I hope that we are able to be like them. And one way to change that is our mindset, our way of thinking. We always follow ikut, the herd mentality. And I wish that if we have more people like you, Julian, like people like Farah, your wife, very innovative, always thinking outside of the box, multiply that by 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Kalau kita mau cakap kita punya negara akan setanding dengan negara-negara tu, boleh ba? Dari kita saja.
Money.
We need to save it more than ever now. Don't waste it. If you get a check, don't spend it all in one place. We were talking about this today. I had a show about saving money, the value of money. I know my dad and my mom say, Reza, save. We have to save money. Please do that.
Make it with Ben.
Make it with
Ben, your show.
Oh, make it happen with Ben. Yeah, make it happen. It's my baby. It's my baby. It will continue to be a platform to tell the stories of various Sabahans and those who love Sabah, who made it happen, who are trying to make it happen, who wants to make it happen. It will be a platform for Sabahans for hopefully years to come. And I welcome anyone who wants to tell their story. Anyone. If you want to tell your story, cari saya di Instagram.
And the last one would be basically your message to the audience.
Guys, saya mau kasih tahu sama kamu orang. You want to be successful in life, success is not served to you on a tray or a spoon or anything. You want to be successful, you have to be curious of the world. You have to know where to find it, you have to know where to dig it, you have to usaha, you have to ikhtiar. A broadcaster told me these words all the time, and I keep it to my heart, and I share it to everyone too, and I mention it quite often on our morning show. Biasakan yang betul, betulkan yang biasa. If we become biasa all the time, too biasa that we think it's betul, it's not. We need to change things, we need to rock things, we need to, shake the boat, rock the boat to make things happen. We need to create those ripple effects if we want change, So and the change comes from you first. We tend to wait all the time. We tend to have this wait and see mentality, You made it happen on your own. You closed your business because you want to make things happen so that more opportunities would come. Go for it, Let those doors open. Don't be scared if doors close for you too. And most importantly, life's a journey. Embrace it. Don't be scared. Don't be timid. Be like me. I was a timid boy once upon a time. All you need to do is just open your mouth and be the voice. So, make it happen. Make it happen.
And with that, we end our show. Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you for having me. And all the best. Man, si Julian, saya ingat saya satu orang yang botak. Rupanya dia pun botak. Macam mana nih? You can't have two botox in a table, because I don't know how will that look in a camera. We would look the same. Nasib saya dah ini, so I would look very different then. It's okay. Hoi, I thought that I would do this for a living. Sekali Julian pula yang mau interview saya, so I feel out of place. Nanti kadang-kadang saya pula yang mau interview dia, so it's like, how is this going to work? I didn't sleep last night. It just felt so weird having someone to interview me for their show when it's my job to interview people for my show. So macam mana kita mau kasih jadi ni? How do we make this happen? Julian, oh my gosh, you have no idea that day when we sat at Kopi Ping and you poured your heart to me. I'll never forget that day, and I admire you ever since. And I want you to know that success will come to people who are strong, who are vigilant, who will know how to make it happen, and you found a way to make it happen. I admire you. Keep it up. And I'm proud that you have this show. I'm so honored to be your first guest today, and I hope I didn't cry my heart out too much. Kesian, habis sudah tu tisu. Mana tisu? Habis sudah. Julian, I have no idea why you brought me here to the studio. Kau tahu kah, Inanam punya jam gila. Man, this is like the place of all It's like, my God, this is the first time you will hear me swearing. Make sure you know that. I'm like, but it's okay. I will do anything for a friend. Even if I have to go through the jam, I will come for you.